Liverpool 1, Brentford 0, Janusz Michallik. That's 6 Premier League wins on the bounce. And the Reds just 1 point away from the top four, albeit having played 2 more games. What did you make of their performance in this one against Brentford at Anfield?
Well, I think, obviously they started very, very well, but that seems to fizzle out just a little bit, right? I mean, when Mo Salah scored his 19th Premier League of the season, wonderful 30th overall in all competitions, you would have thought they go from strength to strength, but it did fizzle out. It wasn't a balanced performance, I think, by any means. It wasn't perfect. I think, that goes to show the sort of season that Liverpool has had, but 6 wins on the trot in the Premier League is not bad. But for sure, one of those performances that I think, if you remember, that when Nunez had a wonderful chance when he was played behind, but a great ball by Trent AlexanderArnold, that could have been two. Gakpo from a yard or two missed after Diogo Jota passed to him. So I think I expected one, if not both, to go in, and then I think it would have been a different performance. But overall, it's 3 points, but it wasn't a special performance at Anfield by any means.
Yeah, I thought Brentford took a while before they actually believed they might take something from the game, whether that was Liverpool dominating possession or it was just a lack of belief from Brentford. But when they got back into the game, they did all right, but they lacked that little bit of quality. And when both Liverpool centre-backs ended up on yellow cards, you just felt like if they could go a wee bit more direct or if they could just get it forward quicker. But they never really took that chance to do so and to trouble Alisson too much, did they?
Yeah, well, as I said, I think after the opening, Brentford thought they were going to be in for a long night if they didn't think that before the game already. And so part of that, the way they play with five in the back, relying on counters, which they had a couple looks. I mean, I don't call them chances because offsides. Obviously, if you remember Van Dijk, there's always going to be a risk, and that it's going to be very often by inches. So they stepped away, looked better than it was because I guess some will look at it. Well, Mbeumo put the ball away, but that's not a chance. That's an offside. I think it's a calculated risk that Van Dijk and others took. You always know you're going to catch those players. You take that step, and you're hoping that you do it in the right time, and they did that. But yes, I didn't expect that much. They were dangerous on the counter a couple of times, but again, good defending. That's what I call good defending. In the end, you don't get burned by Liverpool, and I still think Liverpool were in control of this match.
Oh yeah,
just that look. I mean, Liverpool are coming back to the level that we kind of expect them to be. Not the best or perfect, because we can't forget about the fact that they've started the season so badly. And even in a game like this, you see that it's not just there yet. But those were the expectations, winning games 6 straight. And, all of a sudden you look at Liverpool just a point behind Manchester United, obviously United having 2 games in hand.
It's probably a win that Jurgen Klopp will look back on, not to relive the 90 minutes and sit through every mind-numbing part of that game, because it wasn't their best. That is a result that he'll look back on and kind of think, you know what? We ground that out. We got the win. We deserved the win, but you can't always score 6 or 7 at home. And it builds the momentum. And it was a few years ago when Liverpool were maybe 7th or 8th, and they didn't have much chance of Champions League. But they went on a run. I think it was 8 wins and 2 draws in their last 10 or 11 games. It was the season when Alisson came up and scored at West Brom. And there were parts of that run where it was scrappy victories or victories where they weren't at their best. But you'll be pretty pleased at that because it keeps this momentum going. And you know what? They've got 3 games left. The others have got 5 games left. They put the points on the board, and they're now saying to the other teams that are chasing Champions League, okay, go and get the points. So momentum's there for Liverpool.
I hear what you're saying. It was a little bit different because they were just building up to Liverpool that was winning trophies, right? Where now it's, I don't want to call it fall from grace, but it's obviously a different Liverpool at a different stage of the cycle, if you will. But it's a very, very important win for Liverpool. And very important run of 6 wins because just remember, just a month ago or, a little bit longer, we were talking about possibly if not total rebuild, some maybe a lean year or years for Liverpool. But I think when you finish on such a good note with all the key players coming back, because that's part of it. Part of the reason that we're talking about Liverpool and this season perhaps being unsuccessful, we'll see where it ends up, is because of that, right? And so the way I look at it now, Jurgen Klopp's got the momentum going forward. Now the summer, all of a sudden, still maybe 2 or 3 players away. Everybody looking healthy, and Liverpool once again challenging next season. So that's important. But most important of it all is I think that what this confirms to me is that the dressing room has the ear of Jurgen Klopp, and that's almost as important, if not more important than anything else, because we've been here, right? Everybody's saying, well, it's the 7th year. Here's Jurgen Klopp. Is he good enough? Can he do another cycle again? That to me is where I would look towards, because he's got players that are coming good. Again, we saw Cody Gakpo, Mark, right, playing in the midfield in a different position. It just goes to show how much he trusts these players already, how far ahead of plan he is. Because I think before the season, Mark, wouldn't you say, I mean, we were probably saying, wow, Darwin Núñez, that's going to, he's after a few games, he's going to come good. And now we're finding out that Cody Gakpo is ahead of Darwin Núñez, which this game confirmed once again.
Yeah, because Darwin was taken off and Cody Gakpo moved from midfield up front. That was a question I was going to ask you, because Diogo Jota is carrying a knock right now. Luis Diaz is getting back to full fitness. If it's a front three that Jurgen Klopp persists with next season, and it's his preferred formation, it's Salah on the right. Who are the first choice to play wide left and through the middle then?
Yeah, right now Darwin Núñez is not in it. That's what you saw. I mean, I think it's going to be a battle between Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz, and it's going to be a healthy one. If one's ahead of the other just in the beginning, that's fine. I think you're going to see a big rotation there, because let's not forget Diogo Jota can play through the middle as well. One thing that we know for sure is Mo Salah, as we've said, another 30-goal season. And he wasn't even at his best. And the reason he wasn't probably at his best was because of all the players that were either off form or missing in that front three. So I think it's a good thing. There was never a worry. I mean, if you look at the number of goals and quality of chances that Liverpool has created throughout the season, that's never been an issue. Trent Alexander-Arnold finding a new position, that's something new, obviously, and it's a positive. He's not as isolated in a one-on-one situations defensively, right? When he steps in there, there's players that cover for him. Konate, again, if healthy, there's hope that once again, Konate and Van Dijk will have the partnership that's worthy of a challenge for the Premier League title. There's absolutely need for another top-class center back, no questions about that. And still, obviously, players in the midfield that need to be added. But I think, overall depth needs to be added. It's not just 2 or 3 pieces. When I say 2 or 3 pieces, Mark, that's key pieces, experienced, very, very good players that can carry your team. But obviously in terms of depth and the balance of the team, especially defensively, right? Because, I mean, you probably won't appreciate me saying that, but, Andy Robertson is nowhere near his best, nowhere near where he was a couple of years ago, when both he and Trent had how many assists on the season? I mean, the attack was well balanced as well. So there's issues in depth of the squad.
Yeah, there is. And Andy Robertson, I think it might have been a hip pointer or something, but he was replaced. I get what you're saying. I mean, a couple of games ago, he kind of became a left centre back to allow Trent to move from right back into that midfield role. But at least they've got a really good backup in Tsimikas to keep Robertson on his toes. But I want to end by talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, because they've kind of pushed him forward into maybe a quarterback role where he's either taking the ball from the goalkeeper or Van Dijk or Konate, and if the opposition give him too much space, there were a couple of world-class passes that he played through, one for Darwin Núñez as well. If that is him going forward, does that alleviate the need to perhaps buy a defensive midfielder next season, or is that still an area of the park, a central midfielder for the next few years that Liverpool need to look at to maybe play alongside Trent Alexander when he goes in there?
Absolutely. There's a need for, at least 2 quality midfielders. That is for sure, because Fabinho, although looking better right now, he's still not the same. I don't suspect that he's going to be getting much, much better than he was at his peak. If you look at Thiago Alcantara, right, who's playing in that midfield, you're looking at a situation of a player that's, it's been injured quite a bit, right? It's got that history as well. So obviously you need, what I would call not necessarily a defensive midfielder, because we'll see. I think Jurgen Klopp will use plan A and plan B. Plan A meaning that at times he's going to want to play the 4-3-3, the high line, and where Trent may be still a right fullback. And at times you're going to see Trent playing inside. So you need somebody box to box. I mean, strength and power. That's exactly what you need, right? So players that are being talked about, and we saw McAllister, how good he is, not just in the World Cup, but for Brighton as well in the games against Manchester United. That's sort of a player that can play well in all phases of the game, defensively, in possession, and obviously he can pitch in the attack as well. Caicedo, another player from Brighton, very strong, very powerful. I think the way Liverpool play, those are the type of midfielders that you're going to need, because as I said, you're always going to have the 3 or 4 or 5 attacking players going forward. They're good. Liverpool is all set in those positions, I think, if everybody starts the season healthy. So you need a little bit of protection as well. You also need contribution from that midfield. So those are the type of player, the profile of a player that you're going to need.
Sign of a good side is to pick up all 3 points when possibly not at their best. Liverpool did that. The momentum continues. 6 Premier League wins on the bounce. And despite playing 2 games more than the 2 teams above them, they are within a point of the top 4 after a 1-0 win over Brentford at Anfield.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.